In the meantime, Martha, we talked about this auto bailout now with the reaction out of Detroit with the firing of the GM Rick Wagoner ordered by the White House. Republican Congressman Dan Lungren out of California opposed the auto bailout back in the fall. He's now on the phone live. And, sir, good morning to you.
Good morning.
We talked during the fall about your opposition to what was going to be essentially taxpayer dollars going to keep Detroit in business. What's your reaction to the news from the White House on Sunday?
Well, here's the problem. What we're going through is bankruptcy light with the political influence here. Maybe what happened, ordered by the White House, is what would have occurred in bankruptcy court. We'll never know that because we haven't gone to bankruptcy court. What we are doing is we're not facing the music, which is the auto industry is in difficult straits. There's a real question whether these companies can prevail. The only way we'll know whether that is true is if they're forced to go through Chapter 11, which is set up precisely to take care of things like this. That's point number one. Point number two, we now are almost creating the president as our father-in-chief, who makes every decision for us, who decides how companies are going to work and not work. And I know Major Garrett said, well, these are no longer freestanding companies because they now have the support of the taxpayer. That's the very point that we tried to make several months ago. Instead of putting billions after billions after billions of dollars, we ought to let them go through the regular process, which we've required other companies to do, and then those decisions are made objectively. They don't have any taint of political decision-making or influence, and we don't have this idea that we can all run back to the great father, our federal government, to take care of our problems.
2 points.
It's worked in the past.
You think bankruptcy is inevitable? Is that what you're saying?
I think bankruptcy is inevitable. The sooner we get through that, the sooner we're going to have those companies slim down the way that they can prevail, if they can prevail, or require them to do the kinds of accommodations with other companies that may be inevitable.
Second point, and I asked Major Garrett about this, and I appreciate the fact that you were listening to what he said. Is this a sea change in American business?
Well, if it continues, it will be. I mean, we make exceptions. We say the bankruptcy code, which has stood the test of time, which I worked on 20-some years ago to make changes in it so it could take care of situations precisely like this. We're now saying that somehow this is inadequate, and we wait with bated breath to find out every morning what the White House is going to say or what the Secretary of the Treasury is going to say. If that doesn't introduce uncertainty into the system, which is the worst thing you can have in terms of the markets and the worst thing you can have in terms of planning going forward with business, I don't know what it is.
No.
We ought to be mature about this, understand we're in difficult straits, understand we have set up parameters and procedures and laws that take care of this, instead of investing our hopes and dreams in one individual or two individuals, or not understanding that you're going to have an inevitable political consequence to all of this. That's why you have a bankruptcy court procedure, so that you take all of that out. Everybody is forced to lay their cards on the table, and the stakeholders, as was mentioned by Major Garrett, the stakeholders have to follow the decision made by the bankruptcy court. It's not novel. It's not something that is unheard of. People know how this works, and instead we're afraid to admit where we are, and we're trying to look for some magic bullet. There aren't any magic bullets.
I hear your point, and to that point, show them the big board, Mark, if you could. This is 41 minutes into trading. You're seeing how the investors are reacting now, off 218 points for a Dow that's been battered repeatedly over the past 6 months. Dan Lungren, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate having you on today. More